It's time for a Mid-South Conference division matchup. Bluefield College taking on Cumberland here on the Rams Digital Sports Network. Hello, everybody. Bailey Engel and Jackson Bass. We're glad to have you with us here on the Rams Digital Sports Network. And Jackson, last time the Bluefield College took on Cumberland, Rams got into a bit of a rough patch against the Phoenix, but Bluefield College has won 2 in a row. Well, Bluefield College ended up losing that game to the Phoenix in 4 sets. Rams, head coached by Alfonso Alvarez right now. Bluefield College at 6-12, 3-6 in the Mid-South Conference. And Cumberland, well, they have lost their last game out against Campbellsville, but they were able to beat Bluefield back in the beginning of March, 6-9 and 3-4 with head coach Scott Barber in his 3rd season out of Walsh College. Alfonso Alvarez trying to finish off his first full season as the head coach of Bluefield College Volleyball. Well, the last time we saw the Rams here at the Dome, Jackson, it was a bit tough for Bluefield College against Georgetown.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. They really struggled to have a lot of chemistry on the court, and I'm really hoping that we can see that they'll do that better today.
Yeah, and the Rams especially were going up against a very tough team in Georgetown, and it was a good road trip for them over the weekend to try to get over that loss against Georgetown College here at home. They're able to beat Carlow University on the road, and the Rams also trying to build up some momentum before a big tri-match this weekend against Carolina University and Thomas More University. The Bluefield College, as we said, 6-12 right now, 3-6 in the Mid-South Conference. Cumberland making the trip from Cumberland, Tennessee, right near Nashville, Lebanon, Tennessee, actually. And now we are just about ready to play some volleyball here in Bluefield. Well, good amount of energy so far for Cumberland, Jackson.
Yes, indeed.
So the Rams out on the floor wearing the white jerseys. Alberto Ciparini, as well as Tony Martin, Jovion Banks. Leo Fernandez has been a very strong freshman for Bluefield College. General Smith back into the lineup. We didn't see him as much last week, so Alfonso Alvarez moving around some pieces. Middle blocker from Richmond, Virginia, Clover Hill High School. Alberto Ciparini, a guy that almost was an All-American for Bluefield College a couple of years ago and had to deal with an injury. Now, for Cumberland, out on the floor, getting the start today, it's going to be Christian Lester, as well as Austin Runyard. Luka Illich, sophomore, standing in at 6'5". Have to watch out for him on the outside. Jordan Pierce in the back line, as well as Mason Chambers. And the libero able to be subbed in. It's Caleb Ginnings, freshman from Kingston Springs, Tennessee. So, like we said, Phoenix 6-9, 3-4. And ready to serve, it's going to be Jordan Pierce, sophomore from Huntsville, Alabama. Pierce spins the ball up, and we are underway. Getting this one started, 5:07. Big swing from Yadiel Diaz. Bounces. He said it bounced out of play, out of bounds, and for Bluefield, that is good enough for a kill. Well, I think they got a bit confused there, Jackson, because if it hits the light pole in the field or in the court of play, then that is actually a playable ball. But since it did it outside of the boundary, they couldn't play it back in.
I'll be honest, I could have sworn it was still inside when they hit it.
Right, and if it hits the roof, it's still playable. Yadiel Diaz trying to fight that one off, and Cumberland able to tie it up in 1-1. Check it in for Cumberland. It's going to be Tyler Sturzo, sophomore from Suwanee, Georgia. Rams allowing some fans into the game. First 25, first come, first serve, as Jovion Banks right in the middle, knocking it down, teed up perfectly. And the experienced freshman is able to give Bluefield a 2-1 lead. So the Rams, last time they played against Cumberland, they lost the first set, won the second, and then dropped the next two in his frustrating 4-set loss. Yadiel Diaz. Big swing. Ciparini. Did that drop? Yes, off of the hands of Cumberland. That was Jennings. Just looked like he got a piece of it. Yadiel Diaz has been pretty impressive in his freshman year. And just pushes that one into the net. Looks like the Phoenix have been able to dive into the bench a little bit deeper today, Jackson. Making a lot of substitutions.
You know, the depth of any team really shows up.
Well, Bluefield College showing up there with Alberto Ciparini. Once again, another substitute coming in. Checking in for the first time, it's going to be Austin Smalley for Cumberland. And here's Colby Muter, Turner for Bluefield College, and the libero knuckles the ball over. Wow, a finesse move, able to drop in right off of the right hand to the outside, and Mason Chambers, sophomore from Lebanon, Tennessee. So playing in his hometown college. Here's Lester. You ever made the trip out to Lebanon, Tennessee, Jackson?
No, but I did wrestle a kid from Lebanon.
Oh.
Beat him 17-12.
Gotcha. 17-12. You had it right on the money. That's 4-3 in this one. Wow! Leo Fernandez cranking it up for Bluefield. Rams feeling it so far here in set number one. It's 5-3. Here's Tony Martin, freshman from the 757 for Bluefield. Spinning the ball over. The outside, Martin unable to dig it out. And the Lebanon native and Mason Chambers pounding the ball home, keeping this a 1-point game. Here's Mason Chambers right off of the kill. Getting pretty warm here in the dome, so expect to at least see a couple of breaks. Wiping off the floor. Not going to have to wipe that one off. Alberto Ciparini with a right hand very quickly, making it 6-4. I wonder if the PA is loud enough, Jackson.
Kind of echoes a little, huh?
Feels like we're at the Staples Center. Overpass, over the net, and out of play, 7-4. Ciparini. Going to the middle. Muter passes to Diaz. On the right side, splitting in the middle, Martin dives. Muter flings the ball back in. Set, and the spike off the block. Fernandez wants to say it actually hit off of the head of Illich that time, but won't get the call. It's 7-5. Caleb Ginnings. And Fernandez trying to get the right call here. Alberto Ciparini wants to talk about this one with the official. Now, in a situation like this, if the official agrees, of course, we can't have a replay, so it's just an actual instant replay. It's just a replay of the actual play, so it wouldn't be 7-5. It would go back to being 7-4 like it never happened. But looks like the official did not want to overrule that, and Ginnings serves. Rams discombobulated from the start there, 7-6. Lack of communication. Line drive right over Martin. Feeds Diaz off the block. Wow. Well, that's Luka Illich gliding up to the net and pounding it home. Just like that, Jackson. Cumberland's fought to tie it up. Big swing, and it's blocked. General Smith and Yadiel Diaz.
But energy from the Bluefield sideline.
Yeah, and I think that you can always see that, especially when the blocks are able to develop. And General Smith, who, like we said, we didn't see a lot of the last time Bluefield College played here against Georgetown. And for him to get back into it really turns the team up a little bit. 8-7, Bluefield leads. Wow, a dunk play. Jordan Pierce swinging the ball over the middle block. Now Jordan Pierce going back and near that door where the sunshine is beaming through. Playing an early contest here today, especially considering early as Banks misses the mark, Cumberland takes the lead. It's definitely an early contest from what we've been used to this week with a baseball game yesterday starting at 8 p.m. We had a volleyball game on Tuesday, started around 8:30 as well because of a bus malfunction. Seeing, basically we're playing a little matinee here. Leo Fernandez tying it back up. Now he's going to serve the freshman from Florida. Fernandez. Tough serve. Cumberland able to answer, though. Christian Lester. Well, it looked like the communication was off from the start, Jackson, but Lester really picked it up.
He did. He had that really great one-arm save.
And actually found where nobody was on the other side for Bluefield. All the Rams were really piled over near the sideline where the benches are. And right after that, Serzu rips the ball into the net. So it's all tied up, 10-10. Back and forth we go here in set number one. Jovion Banks started the season late with Bluefield College and already making a huge difference as the middle blocker for the Rams.
Just his length really can cover the whole.
Yeah, he's very tall, and you can't teach a guy how to be tall. You can teach him how to be a better athlete, but Banks has that height going for him. Fernandez with a dig and got fired up because of it. Whistle blows. Well, they call a set error. Cumberland wanted a confirmation. Well, they seem to be semi-okay with the call here. 12-10 the score. Big swing of the outside, a block, and a point for Bluefield. Oh, the net violation. So back to Yadiel Diaz. I think that Cumberland might want to call a timeout here in a second. Diaz. On the ball back. Chambers. I think Lester, actually. Yeah, on the back line, Yadiel Diaz trying to showcase some more athleticism. Check it back in. It's going to be Jacob Edgerly. On the cross side for Ciparini. Big swing in the middle, and Jovion Banks, even with that height, couldn't do anything about that. Mason Chambers right in the middle. So far, back and forth we go, Jackson.
Back and forth we do. Very close game.
Rams have led by as much as 3. Banks, wow, what a dig from Edgerly. A joust at the middle, and Jovion Banks. Another one with a right hand.
Everybody just came forward, and he kept at the back.
Yeah, Jovion Banks housing it at the middle of the net. It's 14-12. Here's Muter. Rams 11 away from winning set number 1, and the service error. So he was trying to go down the line there. Christian Lester. Martin. General Smith and a good block in the middle. Ciparini tries and connects.
Bluefield's really finding those holes and scoring points.
Yeah, Ciparini especially. Very good at that for Bluefield College. Finishing up a pretty long career at BC this year. Big swing, Muter threw the hands up. Just a defensive move there, so now it's 15-14. Back and forth we go, and it's really normally at this point where we see a run by either team and then a timeout forced to be called, but I'm trying to mess up your own rhythm here. Ciparini blocked, it goes out, point Bluefield. Still Austin Smalley not going to be scared to go up against that. Meanwhile for Ciparini, that's his 5th kill. Going back. Wow. Jordan Pierce down the line. Point Cumberland. So the Phoenix within 1. Cumberland Phoenix making the trip from Lebanon, Tennessee. Historic school that played in the most lopsided college football game of all time. As Fernandez launches the ball beyond the back line, it's tied up now. Over 100 years ago, Cumberland lost to Georgia Tech 222-0 in football. Yadiel Diaz. Well, saw that the game was tied, fought it right back. 1-point game, Bluefield leading. See if the Rams can close here. Terrell Boston coming in.
That Cumberland game had different points scored back then, right?
Well, I think that we looked it up the other day, remember, and I think that every single drive for Cumberland they had fumbled, and then they had a punt return for a touchdown. It was like 49 points in the first quarter. I don't know how long the quarters were, though. Bit too low off of the swing from Fernandez, 17-17. I had a pretty bad high school football career, especially my senior year. It never got that bad, 222-0. That's just mean.
Someone was very mad at somebody
Well,
else.
the head coach of Georgia Tech, Heisman, John Heisman, obviously very famous as that one is blasted forward, 18-17. He said that Cumberland had beaten Georgia Tech, because he was also the baseball coach, because this was way back in the day, that Cumberland had beaten Georgia Tech 22-0 the year before that. So they said that maybe the 222 was symbolic of the 22-0 baseball game. 18-17. Lester. One-arm swing for Fernandez. Here's Diaz. Pierce. The back line. Pancake for Muter. No, they don't call it. And Muter doesn't argue, so it's tied up at 18-18. Back and forth we go. Pace this one's going at. It's not going to be first to 25. Tyler Sturzu listed as an outside hitter, defensive specialist and outside, or excuse me, opposite hitter. Ace. Jovion Banks defensively threw the hands up, and now the Phoenix lead by 1. Sturzu. Another lofted serve. Ciparini dove up. Tough pass. Rams are out of system. Big swing. And that one hits off of that speaker. Luckily, doesn't bring it down. It's 20-18. This is the largest lead of the game for Cumberland. And now Alfonso Alvarez forced to call a timeout. So we'll go to break here in set number 1. Bluefield College in this one. Down by 2 here on the Rams Digital Sports Network. Welcome back, everybody. We are in set number one, and well, Jackson, Alfonso Alvarez forced to call a timeout there. The Phoenix, they have climbed back into this one and lead by their biggest lead of the ball game at 2 points.
Which is insane to think because it's just a small lead.
Right. Because Cumberland and Bluefield have gone back and forth this entire first set. The Rams have led by as much as 3. The Phoenix, off of an ace from Tyler Sturzu, Rams then got out a system on the next serve from Sturzu. And you're seeing as well where Bluefield College hasn't exhibited as much of the depth as yet. It seems like Cumberland has really cycled in their entire bench. Sturzu, another good serve. Ace. Not what they wanted out of the timeout. 21-18. It's going to come down to finishing. Here in set number one, Rams have struggled with doing so. Sturzu continuing to serve. This is now his 4th straight serve. Finally, where the one where the Rams are in system, and Jovion Banks pushes the ball out. So the run continues for Cumberland.
And you talk about depth, and depth just shows in every single sport. Alabama with football and
Right.
Iowa and wrestling. Having depth really, really helps.
Yeah, and for Cumberland, able to travel with a good amount of guys, even with the COVID restrictions. That was on the 4th hit. Ciparini. 23-18. Go ahead.
It's a lot different than what we saw with Georgetown. They brought just about 6 guys to fill the spots.
Yeah, and I think with Georgetown, what was crazy about that game was the fact that they had a couple of maybe the most talented outside hitters that were really hitting their stride when they were playing against Bluefield College. Sturzu hitting his stride here with a couple of great serves. That drops in, going cross court that time. And that's the first kill for David Atkins. So, freshman getting into the mix from Racall, West Virginia. Pierce going cross court, and a good dig from Muter. Diaz loads up. Pierce once again. Ciparini pushed the ball over. Good rally going. From the back, blocked and in. Ciparini. Oh, right there in the middle. That might be the biggest block of the ball game because now Bluefield can believe a little bit more, back within 3. Pierce. Lester. Too far. It's a 2-point game. Cumberland wanted to say that a piece of that got off of the block. And a timeout called by Cumberland. We got ourselves a great set number one. It's 23-21 here on the Rams Digital Sports Network. Closing moments of set number one, 23-21, Bluefield College down by 2 in this one, but a great rally out of the timeout, Jackson. Looks like Bluefield has really been able to climb back and make this one interesting.
I've seen a lot more chemistry in this game than we did see in the Georgetown game.
Yeah, especially right there in that little swing. Bluefield was down by as much as 3, make it 4 actually. And now for Cumberland, only 2 points away from winning set number one. Really stealing it away from Bluefield. But what can Yadiel Diaz and company do? Caleb Word now on as the setter for Bluefield College. Switching it up here in the latter moments. Rams wanted the call. Off of the block and in. Mason Chambers. And no, give a point to Bluefield. Wow. Said he must have hit the net there. So now, Bluefield within 1.
Gadiel Diaz is just such an impressive volleyball player.
He really is. And you think about the freshmen, and we've talked about depth kind of as the theme of this broadcast. But Diaz, Fernandez, Jovion Banks, they're going to add some depth, and as well as David Atkins, all of those guys that we just mentioned, freshmen for Bluefield College, adding depth on the floor for BC. And I think that Cumberland, well, they wanted to argue that call. They did not come up with anything. So a tough serve. Out of system from the start. Have to try to get back on defense now. Here's Ciparini. And a dig from Pierce. Giddings. Blocked. Sturzu saves it. Tough one for Ciparini. Pierce. Out of play. No, it dropped in. And I think that the line judge did not agree with that. Alfonso Alvarez calls a timeout. So now set point coming up here on the Rams Digital Sports Network. Let's take a break again. Welcome back, everybody. Bailey Engel and Jackson Bast. We have now set point coming up for Cumberland. Pretty tough call right there before the break. Alfonso Alvarez forced to call a timeout, but this has been a very much back and forth set number one. Phoenix trying to anchor down and get this last point here. Take a 1-0 lead, but the Rams still within firing distance of trying to get this one to be a set one victory for the blue and the red. Goes back for Jacob Edgerly. Set point, and he blasted it out of play. So it's still set point. Edgerly tried to go cross court and missed the entire mark there. So if the Rams want to win this one, they're going to have to score more than 25. Still set point. Big swing. Over the stands, and Cumberland picks up a set one victory, 25-23. Phoenix hold tough, and that was a very exciting set number one to watch. We'll take a break on the Rams Digital Sports Network. It's 1-0 Phoenix. Set number 2 almost ready to begin here on the Rams Digital Sports Network. What a hard-fought set number 1. Cumberland able to take it, Jackson, 25-23.
Yeah, it was a really, really close battle, and the Phoenix came up on top.
And the Phoenix were down by as much as 3 in that one, so it wasn't like Bluefield necessarily played badly. I mean, we saw really the time that Cumberland took over, Sturzu had a serving streak of about 2 or 3 aces, and the Phoenix jumped up to a 4-point lead after that, and the Rams weren't able to claw back.
Yeah, we talked about Sturzu, who really impressed you. Number 3 on the court is a setter. He's a pillar in that offense.
Yeah, Jordan Pierce has done a great job for the Cumberland Phoenix. Certainly has. Everything has funneled through him, where the Rams have kind of missed it or mixed it up a little bit today on the setter position. Tony Martin as well as Caleb Word, both getting the nod at that one. Tony Martin's played for most of the first set. We saw Caleb Word come in at the end. And Alfonso Alvarez with a young team, still mixing around his chess pieces a little bit, trying to figure out what he can do moving on in the future. But a guy that is closing out his Bluefield career. Alberto Ciparini ready to serve for Bluefield. Pierce. Big jump. Oh, my goodness. What a way to start for Luka Ilic. Big point for the Phoenix. It's 1-0. And Sturzu, fresh off the kill from Ilic, comes in. Well, we're going to have tons of volleyball on Saturday for those interested. Tri-match for men's volleyball and then a women's volleyball contest. Bluefield College able to come away with a point after that joust in the middle of the net. Jovion Banks cycling in.
Those games are at 11, 3, 5, and 7:30?
Oof, I think so. You got a heck of a day. So if you want to take a break from watching March Madness, go ahead and watch some volleyball. Point called for Cumberland.
It's like a Chinese fire drill out there.
Martin, Banks. And the Rams get the point. Leo Fernandez going back. Two the score. Fernandez too low. That's called for Cumberland. 3-2. Rams still want to go back and forth with the Phoenix. This is a Phoenix team that's 6-9, 3-4. So Bluefield's record being at 3-6 and 6-12. You can argue that both of these teams pretty evenly matched. Rams took one set against them back earlier on in the month. And into a swing, playing a ton of volleyball. The dig. Slammed home, Alberto Ciparini. 3-3, able to tie it back up. And I think that's going to be big for Bluefield College. Slam down, and a point for Cumberland. That's Austin Smalley. 4-3 the score. Mason Chambers back into it. Martin up to Jovion Banks. Going back. And Bluefield College. I think, Jackson, what we're going to see in set number 2, a lot of the same going back and forth.
Two very evenly matched teams.
Well, Bluefield, if it's kind of like the last one, Rams were able to take set 2 after losing set number 1 against Cumberland, and then the Phoenix able to blast through and win sets 3 and 4. Ilic trying to just end this in possibly 3. Making it 5-4. Jovion Banks off. Muter in. Giddings with the serve. Muter beats General Smith. Well, General Smith really has been strong today after we didn't see him last week. Here's Tony Martin. Standing in at 5'11", Bluefield. Martin. That was Fernandez. Fernandez for Bluefield College, slamming it down with a right hand. It was teed up down the tape for him, and the freshman made Cumberland pay. Back to a 1-point lead for Bluefield.
You know, I was talking to Tony during the women's game on Wednesday, and he was telling me about the importance of where people need to be out there, and how it's super key.
And it looked like that Fernandez was in the right place at the right time for that. And I think that was another big part of the reason why we saw Cumberland jump out to such a big lead at the end of the first set at 22-18, because Bluefield College was maybe not in the right place after a couple of tough Sturzu serves. Blocked, but out of play. Fernandez couldn't get the ball inside of the court. It's 7-6, back to a 1-point lead for the Phoenix.
He also explained it in probably the best way possible. It's a game where you win off people's mistakes.
And that's exactly what Bluefield can try to do here, taking possibly the lead with this serve from Ciparini after the service error for Cumberland. It also has to come down to you capitalize off of other people's mistakes, but also you have to make sure that you don't capitalize on your own offense here. Through the middle, there's a mistake there, and able to pick it back up was Lester. General Smith blasts the ball too far, point Cumberland. Whistle blows. And once again, Cumberland cycling into the bench. Sturzu. Sophomore ready to serve. He really challenged Bluefield College with a couple of serves last time, and that was just a bit too low, 8-8. Here comes Muter. What a serve from Muter. Yadiel Diaz with a tomahawk jam, 9-8. It was a heck of a serve from Muter. See if he can do it again here. Goes more over the loft this time. Tough pass. Martin feeds Diaz. Giddings with the dig. Sturzu from the back. Tough pass for Fernandez. Somehow made it work with Diaz. Lester too far. Oh, and the point goes for Cumberland. Alfonso Alvarez wants a confirmation that Bluefield College actually got a piece of that. And Muter is ready to serve and won't be able to, so that's a bit deflating. Jacob Holmgren, now the 5'4" sophomore from Highlands Ranch, Colorado, about to serve. Banks off the block and gets the point back for Bluefield. I think the Rams were definitely confused with that last call by the official.
You can see the frustration in Cumberland on that last play right there.
It goes back to what you said, trying to win off of other people's mistakes. And for Cumberland, trying to make sure that they make less of those. As we saw for Bluefield, they just made a few more at the wrong time in set number one. Big swing in the middle. That's the best kill we've seen today from Austin Smalley. 6'3" freshman camped out in the middle of the net.
You know, it's such a beautiful day right now, but this morning it was storming.
Yeah, and I tell you what, you talk about a beautiful day. I kind of like it when the days at least are a little cold outside, because when we're here in the dome, especially elevated to where we are, it is so warm right now. Drop it in, Leo Fernandez, 11-10. And I think they have that heater right above us on still, which I don't understand. I think it's supposed to be cold on Friday, but Friday is not today. Lester. Back for Chambers. Try it again with Ciparini, too low. Point right back to the Phoenix. Whoever's doing the scoreboard on the court here at Bluefield College, it's lightning fast today. I think that was called a point even before it dropped in. Berto Ciparini able to crater one into the hard court there for his 7th kill of the ball game.
Yeah, I've seen that a couple times where they'll do it right before they know it's going to happen.
Because each time I'm looking up and I'm like, well, are we waiting for them to change it yet? No, they had already done it. So Terrell Boston. Illich. Diaz ran out of space. A bit of a dangerous drive there.
Spready's going to run on the wall.
Yeah, 12-12. Back and forth we go. This almost looks like a carbon copy of the first set. See if Bluefield can differentiate a little bit, though, trying to finish at the end. Here's Giddings. General Smith. Martin. The Ciparini. Wow, what a dig for the libero. Illich off of the block. Recovery Diaz. Outside hitters are taking big swings once again. Back to Pierce, who's been the setter. Try again with Ciparini. Ends the rally for Bluefield College. (13-12) the score. And it'll be Tony Martin.
You just saw Caleb Giddings miss that just a little.
Yeah, and Giddings had done a good job previously on a couple of big swings. Illich. Too low. General Smith wasn't ready. And it's right back to the Phoenix at 13-13. Who's going to get the next 12?
I'd say both of them at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough. I mean, last set, I think it was honestly pretty shocking, especially how it ended, that it had just ended at 25-23. It appeared that it was going to at least get to 26.
Yeah, once it got 19-19, the Phoenix blew it out of there.
Right. 13-13 now. There's a couple of clutch serves from Sturzo. And here is Jordan Pierce. Saw function as a setter and an outside hitter on that last couple of rallies. Berto Ciparini, way too far.
Lots of power.
Yeah, lots of power. And I think that, we were talking earlier, that Ciparini with that power kind of solidifies himself as maybe in the conversation as the best Bluefield College volleyball player ever in the short history of the program, mind you, but I'm very close to it.
Definitely picking him for my beach volleyball team.
Big swing, and it drops in. Christian Lester, 2-point lead for Cumberland. And it's been a while since we've said a team has a multiple-point lead. Austin Runyard, middle blocker, ducking. Ciparini off target, too low. 16-13 might be time for an Alfonso Alvarez timeout. Nope, not yet. Now we're seeing in the middle of the set, what can Cumberland do here? See if the Rams, Muter, and react perfectly to that serve, but recovered. Runyard. Good job by Diaz to keep that ball alive. Ciparini loops it over. Illich. Off the right hand, point. Going for Cumberland, Christian Lester. 17-13, timeout Alfonso Alvarez, timeout Bluefield. It's a 4-point lead for the Cumberland Phoenix in set 2. 17-13, a big rally for Cumberland, and it looks like, well, like what we saw from Tony Martin when he was talking to us the other day. Bluefield College making a few more mistakes. Cumberland has been able to capitalize off of them.
You know, what's Coach Alvarez telling his players right now?
I think that he has a lot of faith in them still for Jackson, because you saw when the score was at 16-13, he didn't call a timeout then. He thought that his team could fight back out of it, and then the next point was able to drop in for Christian Lester. So he still has a ton of faith in his young team, and what we saw, called a timeout at the end of set one when Bluefield was down by 4. Rams climbed back to within 2, but Cumberland, a team that you really can't afford to give up a run with, especially when you're this evenly matched. General Smith, whistle blows, and a point for Cumberland. Tony Martin in the net there. So Alvaro Grande coming into the ball game. Substitution at the middle blocker position for General Smith. It's 18-13, largest lead of the game in either set. And got it right back down to a 4-point game with Alberto Ciparini. (18-14). Ace. And that's a big one for Ciparini. Rams trying to climb back into this one, down by 3. Number 9 all the way back. Innings. Pierce. Now Cumberland trying to get a bit too cheeky, and the Rams are back within 2. No, they give the point to Cumberland. And the point goes for Cumberland. I think that the Phoenix are even more confused than the Rams are. So they call a double on Bluefield College, which is a little bit baffling. We'll see. Be an unfortunate break in the game. Yadiel Diaz says not yet. You gotta imagine that a big part of this game is being able to respond even when the whistle doesn't blow your way.
Definitely. And I think that they're gonna go back and respond and come back.
Yeah, Muter with a good serve. Wow. Off of the edge, Mason Chambers. Now, what we saw at Georgetown College last week when they had a couple of pivotal outside hitters for that team, I can't say the same as much for this team in Cumberland, but there are flashes of that there with Mason Chambers as well as Christian Lester. When they actually load back and really punish the ball, it's very tough. And you can say the same thing about the middle blocker in Jovian Banks for Bluefield. A lot of strength on the floor between Banks, Ciparini, Leo Fernandez, Yadiel Diaz.
It's surprising with as much depth as they have, they still have the same amount of chemistry with whoever they put out there.
Rams trying to build some of that chemistry, just can't make mistakes in these latter moments of set number 2. 21-17 the score. Here's Diaz with a big swing. Bluefield back in it within 3. Big swing in the middle. And once again, Austin Smalley putting Cumberland back up by 4. (22-18), just nicks over the net. And now it's a 5-point game. Timeout called by Alfonso Alvarez. It's now 23-18. Cumberland within 2 of taking a set 2 victory. Welcome back, everyone. Bailey Engel, Jackson Bast. Cumberland leading by 5. Only 2 points away from a set 2 victory. A serve word. Atkins trying to swat the ball back. Whistle blows. And a point for Cumberland, setting up set point once again. Bluefield getting a little discombobulated here at the end.
Yeah, Atkins just kind of bobbled and hit the net during that.
Now set point. Jovian Banks able to go one-on-one. Terrell Boston trying to keep this one going, still set point. Big swing on the near side. Illich, is it in? Yes, set point. Bluefield College drops down to 0-2, 25-19. Cumberland leading 2-0. We'll take a break. Be right back for set 3. Phoenix up 2-0 over Bluefield. Third set coming up. Bluefield College dropping that last one, 25-19. And once again, Jackson, we just saw right at the end, Cumberland able to power through and get on a very untimely rally, especially if you're rooting for Bluefield in this one.
Yeah, it's just they're capitalizing on the mistakes of Bluefield every single time. They're not letting them get away with anything.
And it seems like it has gone back and forth up until about when we saw it was 13-13. In the first set, it was right around 18-18. But in that set, 14-13, Cumberland took the lead and took as high as a 5-point lead. Ciparini getting it started off well here in set 3, though. Cumberland going for the sweep of Bluefield. Already beat them earlier this month. Pierce beats Illich, blocked, and off of Illich. Oh, point for the Rams. Too low for Martin. And it's all right to have a few service errors for Bluefield College, especially when you're trying to float in some good serves or really laser in some good serves. But Bluefield College has just had a good amount of those service errors, especially at the end of set two. That really propelled Cumberland forward in that one as well. What a pancake for Giddings. It's still a live ball. Fernandez, libero with another dig. Into the corner. Big swing, out of play, point Bluefield.
When you get those big, flurries of going back and forth, you just got to wait it out.
Yeah, and for Bluefield College, they found themselves in a few rallies today, and I got to believe that that's one of the first ones they've lost.
Did you mean Cumberland?
Exactly. Yadiel Diaz going a bit low. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Cumberland had lost. Bluefield won. No, you're absolutely right, Jackson. There you go. Paying attention today. You have passed the test. Because that was totally a test and not a mistake on my own part. Here we go. Jacob Holmgren. Out of play. Bluefield College tying it up again after that error on the attack. Ciparini. Stifled at the net. Point Cumberland.
Seems like Cumberland wants to give up a couple points to get their momentum back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think with Cumberland, you see a couple of these big plays at the net, and you talk about those rallies. Cumberland has fought through most of them. Here's Yadiel Diaz with a big swing down the line. If Bluefield College wants to come back in this one and win it, I think it's going to be all up to Diaz as well as Ciparini. You got Jovion Banks in the middle, who is really a secret weapon, I believe, with a good amount of talent and strength in the middle of the net. Muter. Talented server for Bluefield, but goes out of play. 5-4 Phoenix. Remember, they won the first two sets, 25-23 and 25-19. Tony Martin. Banks blocked. What a big block right there in the middle for Smalley.
Cumberland's starting to pull away right now.
Yeah, Cumberland, and you saw this right in the middle of the sets in the last two, where, like we said, it was 14-13. Cumberland took its first real lead. Big swing across. It was a decent pass. Mason Chambers, a bit too far. Point Rams. (6-5) the score. Here's Leo Fernandez. And a point going for Cumberland. Good move by the setter there in Jordan Pierce. Able to dunk that one in. Martin. Big swing, blocked down. Wow. Smallings and Illich. Smalley, excuse me. 8-5. And now I think, Jackson, you're seeing what we saw in Cumberland in the last two sets, but it was later on in the set. They have not led by 3 this early, and now almost make it 4. That was nearly going out. Muter saved it. Pierce. Cumberland up by 4. Might be time for a timeout for Alfonso Alvarez. And they're going to keep playing. Martin. For Diaz, point, Bluefield. Young man from Puerto Rico climbing back to within 3. Big swing off of the hands of Muter. Whistle blows, and point for Bluefield. Doubles called.
Number 17, Terrell Boston.
Off the body of Pierce, ace, Terrell Boston. Big ace. And it looked like Pierce, who's played such a solid game, Jackson, just ripped him right in the chest, wasn't ready.
Exactly what I was going to say. I don't think he was ready for it.
Big swing, and Pierce got it back. He was ready that time.
Big time.
Now serving number 3, Jordan Pierce.
Jordan Pierce. Blocked at the net. Big time block by Luka Illich. 12-8. Lofted in. Diaz had to dive up. Ciparini. Well, 3-point game. Berto Ciparini still strong for Bluefield.
You know, although they're getting all these like tiny, just lost the word.
What are you looking for?
The margin of victory.
Right. Oh, okay. Right. It's a
Tiny
still a close
lead.
game. Tiny lead.
Although they have a small lead, it's so critical of what they need.
Right. Bluefield College has been able to fight back even with these. You see it's kind of ballooning back from 5 and to 4. And then Bluefield will cut it back to within 2. But really what has set the difference apart is the fact that Cumberland, with those leads ballooning back and forth from 5 to 2, they have kept it right around there. Rams trying to change that, though. Leo Fernandez with the block. Timeout called by Cumberland. Berto Ciparini with 13 kills on the day as we take a break. Set number 3, Cumberland up by 1. Welcome back, everyone. We got another tight one here in set 3. Cumberland leading 2-0. Bluefield College trying to climb back. Only down by 1. Tony Martin out of the timeout for Cumberland. Haven't seen Scott Barb all that many timeouts today. And right out of the timeout, Illich gives the lead right back to 2. And it's really big how you respond out of a timeout. Bluefield College has cobbled some rallies together after calling a timeout. But here's the man that really pushed Bluefield under in the first set, Sturzu. Ciparini, Giddings with the dig. Oh my goodness. Martin. Ciparini floats it over. And they wanted another pancake there from Giddings, and they do not gift the young man from Cumberland that. So now 13-12. Big swing off the block, and a point. Coming again for Mason Chambers. Just 11 away from potentially winning this one 3-0. Bringing in Jacob Holmgren. Martin. Diaz was off balance and ripped that one into the entrance. 15-12. Once again, we're not in a situation, if you're Bluefield, where you can really start to miscalculate your attack. Holmgren nicks the net. Fernandez. Good dig from Ciparini. Jumping up. Off the left hand, tried to nick it over. It was Mason Chambers. And a point for the Rams.
Just couldn't get under it that time.
It seems like a few of these times the Phoenix have really had to pay for a few mistakes where they try to just float the ball over rather than use their full strength on a ball. And that seemed to be the right choice at the time, just couldn't push it right over the block. Smalley. Feed back up. Pierce. Blocked! Jovion Banks! Banks got a full hand on it and ripped it right into the body of the libero and Caleb Gennings. 15-14. Muter. Dangerous serve. Lester. Over the back boundary, and now the game is tied. Rams have rallied back and tied it up. 15-15. What Muter can do here. What a serve. Smalley off of Martin in the lead, tilting right back to the Phoenix from Lebanon, Tennessee. Martin. Blocked, and a big one coming from Chambers, as well as Smalley that time. Big swing across the body. Yadiel Diaz misses the mark. Whistle blows, and Duran coming into the game for the first time. We haven't seen Duran yet in this one. Guy that did find a lot of playing time in a couple of years past. See what Duran can do. Going backwards, and now for Cumberland, up by 3. Make it 4, 19-15. And Duran in for one play, cycled back out.
Very crucial that Bluefield is able to recover from this. This is the part of the set where they usually struggle the most.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And Yadiel Diaz back into it. A couple of head nods from Alfonso Alvarez. Now 9 kills for Yadiel Diaz. Just one away from getting into double digits. Back over. Lester to Sturzu. Martin lobs to Diaz. Giddings takes the ball up. Pierce with a big swing, and Muter had to duck out of the way. Absolutely right, Jackson. This is where Cumberland has really stepped forward. Timeout called by Alfonso Alvarez. We'll take a break here once again on the Rams Digital Sports Network. 2016. Cumberland can smell a 3-set victory when we come back. Here we are, 20-16. Cumberland leads in this one, 2-0. Already up by 4, 5 away from winning this one in 3 sets. At the middle, it drops out of play. And the joust in the middle with Smalley as well as Tony Martin and the Rams energy, what you saw so much of in the first 2 sets. Kind of dwindling down now. There's Mason Chambers. Ciparini blasting the ball in.
Rams are not done yet.
Yeah, absolutely not. And for Roberto Ciparini, 15 kills on the day for him. Big shout out to our statistician, Jacob Key. So with 15 kills, what can the Rams do? Yadiel Diaz, Ciparini on the floor. Ciparini blocked. That's a huge answer for Cumberland. Just 3 away now.
Inching their way to the 3-set shutout.
Yeah, almost there. And remember, the last time these two teams played, Bluefield College ended up winning 1 set. And they're still in the hunt for this one. But it just seems like Cumberland has penalized Bluefield in these last third of each set. Maybe the last fourth, actually, if we're really getting specific about our fractions, where Cumberland has pulled through right at the end. You see him 22-18, that was a lead that we saw in set number 1. Jump for Fernandez. Here's Ciparini. Block doesn't substantiate for Bluefield. Cumberland's now just 2 away. Bailey Engel, Jackson Bass, it's been a pleasure to be on the call. Big swing and a block goes out of play. So into the ball game for Bluefield College for the first time, and Landon Ensminger. He has been in before that, check that, but his first kill. Pushed over. Too low. And now match point coming up for Cumberland. 24-19. Timeout called by Alfonso Alvarez. We'll keep it live here on the Rams Digital Sports Network. Now, Cumberland won that first set 25-19, or excuse me, won the first one 25-23. Seemed like it was going to be a close match the rest of the way, Jackson. And certainly 25-19 isn't a blowout in any sense of the word. Now 24-19, almost there for another 25-19 set if Cumberland's able to pull this one off. But it just seems like the energy consistently dwindled for Bluefield College as we went through this.
Sadly, it has. And, you know, maybe they'll be able to recover and come back next time even stronger.
Well, Bluefield College will have to try that this weekend up against Carolina University and
Thomas More.
Thomas More also coming into the building. Thank you. Thomas More and Carolina are going to play against each other. Remember, that's the Carolina University Bruins. The Tar Heels are not going to be here, which is something that is confusing, I think, on purpose.
Does UNC have a women or a men's volleyball team?
They do not. I believe they don't as far as varsity now. I think they might have a club one. But you see the Bruins as well as the Saints come in this weekend, and then women's volleyball also going to be the nightcap of that game or that day. Here is match point. Sturzu got it started so well, and he ends it with an ace. Cumberland, after beating Bluefield in 4 sets earlier in the month, it only takes them 3 with a 25-19 decision in set number 3. Jackson, what are your final thoughts on this one?
I think that although they did have a lot of energy, Bluefield just needs to come back and fix their tiny mistakes.
Well, Bluefield College just trying to make less mistakes than the other team, as Tony Martin so poetically put it a few days ago. So, final score of this one, 3-0. We're going to be back with Alfonso Alvarez in just a second. But as we close it out here, Bailey Engel, Jackson Bast, final score 3-0. And set 3 decided 25-19. Cumberland wins. Final score of this one, 3-0. Able to win it here today, the Cumberland Phoenix. Bailey Engel alongside the head coach Alfonso Alvarez, and coach a tough game where it seemed like Cumberland just pulled away right there at the end in each set. What do you think of that contest?
Yeah, I would agree with that. It seems like we were getting the free ball or the tip or keeping them out of system the way we wanted, and then all of a sudden we couldn't execute that point. And it looks like that's a very well-coached team and probably a little bit older team, and they knew how to play very opportunistic volleyball, if you will, and just, capitalize on those situations. So unfortunately we couldn't. It seems like we made the mistakes at the worst possible time.
Is it just kind of how it shakes out like that? And why did you think that it happened right there at the end of each set each time?
Well, I will say like this. At the beginning of the season, we were practicing a certain way. And there's this conversation that happens all the time in coaching volleyball. Do you practice a lot block or do you practice a lot random? And I felt like we were very block there for a while. And then we switched it up here recently to random so that we can be more competitive in those situations. So basically, in practice, we're saying let the game teach the game. So in that situation, it costs you a point. What did that teach you? What did we do with it? What can we do better? As opposed to staying in practice and just, being a repetitive robotics type of,
right.
Practice. So we've recently switched up a lot of that philosophy at practice because I felt like a lot of the same things that we saw here today was happening earlier. And it just takes a little time for that to take full effect, if you will.
Right. Now, I think a lot of times what we get into these post-game interviews with you, Coach, you do bring up practice. So you got a day before a tri-match, and I'm assuming you're going to practice again maybe. But what do you want to see out of your team in tomorrow's practice going into a couple of matches on Saturday?
Bailey, I have a great group of guys. And a lot of people on campus recognize just a unique bunch of student athletes that get after it hard in the classroom and they get after it hard on the court. And as you mentioned, we have a tri-match on Saturday. If I dare cancel practice on Friday to say, hey, we need some rest, they get so upset with me. They get so fired up. And they almost feel like it's a punishment. And man, it looks like a revolving door in my office. Coach, why'd you cancel practice today? Coach, why aren't we practicing? Coach, we need practice. And they absolutely love being at practice. It's so different. It's so amazing. They love being around each other. They're very, unified group. And I keep bringing up practice afterwards because that's the bulk of our work. That's where we prepare. And so that's, a big deal for us. So when I come to the sidelines, it's because I already know what we're doing on one side. It's the other side that I need to help them with. So I've prepared my game film, and then I just sit there and try to prepare. And so now we just got to find a way to execute those moments. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I think that's a good way to end it. Alfonso Alvarez and Bluefield College men's volleyball will be back here on Saturday. Tri-match coming up against Carolina University and Thomas More. But until then, the final score of this one today, 3-0. Bluefield College unfortunately drops it to Cumberland. For Alfonso Alvarez, for Jackson Bass, my name is Bailey Engel saying so long, Rams fans.